Hello, wrestling fans. Blake Smith from Walking the Ropes, and welcome to another episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review for AEW Dynamite from Bridgeport, Connecticut. To open the show, we had a tag team battle royale match. The Young Bucks versus the Butcher and the Blade versus the Red Dragon versus the Best Friends versus FTR versus Private Party versus Dark Order versus Santana and Ortiz versus 2.0 versus the Gun Club. It's a very high stakes match as the winner gets a shot at the tag titles at Revolution in a triple threat match. Pretty much every tag team in AEW is in the match, and they all have fairly good showings. Santana eliminates two teams by himself, and I'll admit it, it's hard to follow what's happening. But it's very cool to see all these teams thrown in at once, and I love when AEW does this. Matt ends up having to be the sole representative of the Bucks after Nick is eliminated, and he holds his own. So too does John Silver, who has to fight the entire match by himself as Reynolds is eliminated first. Silver makes it so every man in the ring is the only member left on their team. And they keep brawling from there, and they're down to the final four: Matt, Kyle, Dax, and John Silver. Bobby Fish is hanging around outside the ring, and he ends up kicking Dax's leg out to eliminate him. Silver then holds his own, but the numbers catch up to him, and eventually we're down to Kyle and Matt, but really before we can even get to that point, Matt's turned on, and Kyle dumps him to the outside as Matt eliminates Silver. And, well, Red Dragon gets the win. Red Dragon wins the tag team battle royale match, and they qualify for the triple threat match at Revolution for the tag team titles. For my Malteser scale, I give this a 3.5 out of 5. It was a very good match. I mean, it's pretty much what you always expect out of these battle royales. It was very good. For the WTR scale, I gave it a 4 out of 5. I mean, I really, really enjoyed the build we've been getting for this, and this tag match is going to be amazing at Revolution. After the match, Red Dragon and the Bucks argue, and Hangman comes out and attacks Red Dragon as the Bucks watch on, and they also leave. Adam Cole comes out to try and stop him, but he ends up being saved by Red Dragon, who saved him from the buckshot, only for Kyle to eat one himself. Page then sits in the ring and talks about Adam Page's resume. About Adam Cole's resume and how he wants the AEW World Championship now. It says at Revolution, Page says he says Page will put Cole in his grave with the buckshot. It's very difficult when you have two Adams. Brian talks about his opponent and says Garcia is a lot like himself, but the big difference is Brian was trained by William Regal, not 2.0. And then after tonight, he says he will give Moxley his answer. MJF makes his way to the ring, and he seems to be almost human tonight. He talks about how pro wrestling at one point was the only thing that mattered to him, and talks about his troubles in school. Says he was always good at football, and he thought he fit in. But no, he was just getting bullied instead. That was okay, though, because he was going to meet his hero, CM Punk. He would just like him. He would be just like him from now on. And talks about Punk leaving and how that made him want to give up. But then he decided to become the best in the world in spite of Punk. And no matter what Punk does at Revolution, he will not quit, because then he'd be just like Punk. CM Punk then makes his way out to the ring, and he asks if it's all true, and MJF just kind of walks out with tears in his eyes. This is a very interesting development here, because I really thought there was going to be a swerve coming through there. Daniel Garcia and 2.0 talk about what Danielson said, and they say that tonight they will give Danielson a taste of violence. We then get a tag team match, the Kings of the Black Throne versus Pac and Penta Oscuro, which is just Penta Dark, I believe, in Spanish. Penta is very different. He is Penta Oscuro, and he is... this is from his Lucha Underground persona. This was arguably when Penta was his best, and he looks ready to show the Kings of the Black Throne that if they plan to hurt him, they'll have to end him. Pac and Penta start strong, but Brody is something else. He sends them flying out, and then he himself goes flying. Pac and Black then takes Pac back in the ring, where he goes to pin him, but Penta makes the save, and then Pac causes the confusion and allows Penta to take out Brody. They continue this back and forth, and Pac and Penta think they're going to win, but Brody isn't the legal man, and they fight off the mist, and Penta is able to roll up Black for the win after some more confusion. Penta Oscuro and Pac defeat the Kings of the Black Throne. From a Malteser scale, I gave this a 3.5 out of 5. Very, very good match. I really enjoyed it. And for the WTR scale, I gave it a 4.25 out of 5 because the build for this match was just amazing. After the match, Black and King take out Penta and Pac, and Black looks to take off the head of Penta, but the lights go out and Buddy Matthews appears behind Black, and he looks like he's scared of Matthews. He then turns his attention to Penta and Pac, and as Black's expression's really changing, he's starting to laugh. And then Black orders Matthews to stomp the head in of Penta through the chair, and then they disappear. Thunder Rosa and Britt talk about their upcoming match, and Rosa says that this time her win will count, because last time they were in a lights out match, and Rosa won. Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho make their way to the ring to air out their differences, and Jericho has got security there to make sure that there will be no fighting. Kingston says this is a wrestling company, not a sports entertainment company. Jericho says he's going to give him some sports entertainment that's actually entertaining. And Jericho talks about Eddie coming to AEW, and he had no idea who he is. And he says that he looked like a jobber. And then he saw him wrestle, and he saw something in him. Jericho says he knows why Eddie is jealous. It's because Eddie got to TV at 37, while Jericho did it at 22. Eddie will never be on his level, and Eddie says he doesn't care who Jericho is. He would rather do things on his own, and says that he likes to fight and wants to at the pay-per-view. Jericho says that he's on, but Eddie won't win the big one, and if he does, he'll shake his hand and give Eddie his respect. Eddie says to bring the man that beat The Rock and Stone Cold in one night, because Eddie will eat him alive. We then get Matt Hardy and Andrade El Idolo talking about what's going on, and Andrade says he's going to win the TNT title this Friday. And Matt suggests that when to celebrate, they should have the first ever Tornadoes Trios match at Revolution. Isaiah Cassidy with Andrade and Matt Hardy versus Sting, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara. Sounds like a very interesting match to me. We then get a Face of the Revolution ladder match. Qualifier match, sorry. Ricky Starks versus 10. And 10 looks to join the other big men in this ladder match and make it the most unique ladder match ever. He starts out very strong, beating down Ricky quickly, and Ricky hopes to join the Team Taz teammate and practically guarantee that Team Taz is going to win the ladder match. He distracts 10 by twisting the mask in front of his face and then hitting a surprise spear, and actually does get the win. Ricky Starks defeats 10 to qualify for the Face of the Revolution ladder match. For my Malteser scale, I gave this a 3 out of 5. Fairly solid, although I'm a little disappointed because a big man ladder match would have been kind of cool. It's still a really good match. For the WTR scale, I gave it a 3 out of 5 as well, because, I mean, the build's been kind of there for these matches. It's a fairly decent match, though. Red Dragon and the Bucks argue, and Cole has had enough. He wants everyone on the same page, and the Bucks say they are more motivated than ever to qualify next week for the Triple Threat Tag match for the titles. We then get a TBS Championship match, Jade Cargill versus the Bunny. And if Jade's previous matches are any indicator about what's about to happen, the Bunny is in for a quick and painful ride. Cargill looks to show off her new look with a big win by tossing the Bunny around the ring and doing push-ups in a submission. The Bunny fights out and takes it outside, and Jade has struggled against the Bunny. And maybe now we will see what Jade can do when she's sweating. Their managers then send Brass Knuckles in from Matt Hardy and the title in from Smart Mark Sterling. And then that ends up getting both men sent out. The bunny stuns Jade and tries for down the rabbit hole, but Jade hits Jaded out of nowhere for the win. Jade Cargill defeats the bunny to retain the TBS championship, and from my teaser scale, I gave this a 3 out of 5 because, you kind of saw that coming. Jade just pulling the win out, and yeah. For the WTR scale, though, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 because it does look like we are starting to get this build of she's not quite just squashing them anymore, and I am enjoying that. Jade Cargill asks who's next, and Ty Conti makes her way to the ring and says she is going to be the one to beat her at Revolution. They go to brawl, but the bunny stops her, and Ty hits the Ty KO and then walks into a pump kick from Jade as she leaves. Keith Lee talks about the ever-growing ladder match, and Starks come in and tells him to stay in his lane because Team Taz runs the show. We then get a singles match, Bryan Danielson versus Daniel Garcia, and this will be a technical masterpiece as Garcia is arguably a young Bryan Danielson, as even admitted by Danielson himself. Danielson, though, definitely has the experience edge as he is almost allowing Garcia to chop him, so then he can take control and just slap Garcia around. They're hitting some of the hardest shots and making each other's chests glow bright red, and Garcia eventually gains control and goes to suplex Bryan out of the ring, but Bryan stops him and drops him on the outside. He then gives a big flying knee followed by a big drop kick from the top rope. They go back and forth some more, and Bryan eventually is able to slip the triangle choke on for the win. Bryan Danielson defeats Daniel Garcia, and for my teaser scale, I give this a 4.5 out of 5 because they did such an amazing, it was so technical, it was just perfect. For the WTR scale, I gave this a 4.5 out of 5. They told such a great story through this. It was just amazing. They made you really care about this match in the very little bit of time they gave building about it. After the match, 2.0 jumps Danielson, and Moxley comes out to make the save. He clears the ring and then stands off with Danielson. Danielson tells him he accepts Moxley's challenge, and at Revolution, it will be himself and Moxley. He tells Moxley, though, to not feel bad because Moxley might be the only person bleeding. But that is all for this episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review. Thank you all for dropping in. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notifications whenever we upload a video. And I'll see you in the next one.